No matter how targeted your marketing campaign is, you'll have 4 categories of buyers. And top professionals are able to recognize the category that the prospect falls into as quickly as possible so they can spend the time on the buyers and don't spin their wheels on the time wasters. Number 1, buyers in heat. These are the best buyers of all. They need it, they want it, they can use it, they can afford it, and they are in pain because they like your product. You'll recognize them right away, and that's when a buyer is in pain. That's a buyer in heat. And while you're at it, please heat up the like button below by giving it a gentle tap with your mouse or thumb. It really helps me a lot so that YouTube promotes this video. Thank you so much. And also, so you can get notified when I make more videos like this, please hit the subscribe button below. So the buyer in heat is the one who just got into a lawsuit, just got into a car wreck, just sustained an injury or illness that what you sell can cure. So recognize them right away. These are the ones you want to concentrate most of your time on. They are your best prospects. And keep in mind, they only represent about 15 to 20% of your prospects. Number 2 is buyers in power. They need it, they want it, they can use it, they can afford it, but their pain is not severe enough. They have every intention of buying, but they want the best fit. Buyers in power versus buyers in heat is a sense of urgency. Someone who is worried about a lawsuit but doesn't have one on the horizon, doesn't see an imminent threat. You'll have about 25 to 30% of your buyers are buyers in power. Number 3 is the lookie-loos, the tire kickers. These are the most toxic, the most dangerous buyers that you will see. Why? Because they pretend they need, want, and can use your product, but they can't afford it. They're window shopping or getting a vicarious thrill by acting like a big shot. The amateur sales professional will take them all the way through the sales process, may do all the things right, getting sucked in by their phony charade of acting like a buyer. So it's best to say, thank you, but I can't help. Let me email you some info. They're a disaster. You waste a massive amount of time. You start questioning your own ability, and the mistake was not your presentation, but making a presentation to these people in the first place. Learn to get these people out of your sales funnel. Learn how to ID the looky-loo quickly and elegantly. Remove them from your sales funnel. Get the buyers in heat and the buyers in power and spend time with them. Looky-loos represent about 30 to 35% of your buyers. Now here's the typical looky-loo. Number 1, they have too much information about your product because they've been researching and pondering and thinking, but they're not serious. Number 2, they overly emote. They ooh and ah and act too excited, and they're just acting. And all they want is just the dopamine rush of acting like a big shot and window shopping. And number 3, when you start to get to the questions and you start asking some of those questions based on finance, seeing if they're really financially qualified, and you do that every time, right? They become overly vague and evasive or overly boisterous about their money. So what do? You err on the side of getting them out of your pipeline as quickly as possible. Otherwise, you will make a presentation and scratch your head as to why they didn't buy. And it's only because you were speaking to the wrong person. And buyer category number 4 are the mistakes. People who get dragged into your pipeline, walk in accidentally go to your website. They don't want to be there. Now, these are easy to identify, and this represents about 10 to 20% of your buyers. So quickly remove the looky-loos and the mistakes from your pipeline. Bring buyers in power and buyers in heat down the straight line of your entire presentation. Ask follow-up questions as well, amplifying the pain by telling the stories of other prospective clients who have procrastinated a buying decision to turn those buyers in power to buyers in heat. By telling those stories that wakes up their pain. Identify their pain points so you can tell which stories match what's holding them back. And then they'll be more likely to fulfill that need right now. So during the intelligence gathering phase, you are asking questions as an expert in your field, a trusted advisor, a doctor who's trying to solve their problems, and you're also gathering information, 1, to use in your presentation to viable buyers, and number 2, as to whether or not this is a viable buyer that you want to spend time with. So politely let the time wasters know you can't help them, and do this in a helpful way so they don't blast you online. So be respectful, but act quickly. So become an expert in recognizing what kind of buyer you have in front of you. And please like this video and subscribe below. This is the Business Guy.